Hi guys, rise and shine. We grind, we all fine, and the sun shines for yours and mine. My name is Tyrone, and welcome back to my show. Today I'll be talking about peace and destruction. Um, Peace. Let's talk about the definition of peace. Peace, the state of being tranquil, or the state of feeling calm, joyful, or fully at bliss. I feel like I needed to talk about peace once because of the fact that it's something that we all strive for. I feel that it's something that we all need, and it's imperative to have peace in order to enjoy our lives. I feel that I also needed to talk about destruction is because it's a balance between everything. There's a balance between good, there's a balance between bad. Just like peace, we have destruction, you know what I mean? And we need to find the importance of keeping that out of balance, but keeping the destruction out of our lives. You know what I mean? If you guys know what I mean. And destruction is basically the state of destruct, or taking violent action towards oneself or others, or it's a state of total depletion. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that destruction comes in all forms. It comes from other people, it comes from yourself, it comes from the things around you, it comes from the influences, and it comes from conflict. You know what I mean? There's many forms of destruction, whether it be spiritual or whether it be on the physical. I feel that in order to achieve the state of peace that we want, you know what I mean, we would have to relax and cast all of the worries, all anxieties, and all concerns on the Lord. I feel that one of our main things is that we should always go to the Lord first. Always go and pray. And that is what I recommend. Ever since I started praying myself, ever since I've gotten more into the Bible, I have made certain strategies with myself to go and pray before I make a decision instead of being reactionary towards something. You know what I mean? Because the best thing that you can do is get advice from the Lord, or get advice from the Lord on how to go around the situation that you might be going through. I feel that one of the best things to do in order to achieve a state of tranquility or to achieve peace is to meditate. You know what I mean? If you like drawing, if you like architecture like myself, I like to draw buildings. I like to draw many things, even like little flowers like this. I like to dance, you know what I mean? Dancing. We all have, what I can honestly say is that we all have that weirdness within us. And dancing definitely brings the weirdness out of us, but it also brings the euphoria. It brings that state of happiness. It brings that peaceful feeling within us that surpasses everything. It surpasses every single hump, obstacle, distraction, and it makes you feel so good. So I do recommend dancing. Another thing I would also recommend you guys to do is just regular hobbies that make you feel good, whether it's going to a spa, whether it's going to do your nails, ladies, you know what I mean, going to make yourselves feel good, doing something productive, or just writing in your diary, you know what I mean, or a journal. Like I write in my journal. Sometimes I just write down things that come to mind, and that is not only what unlocks the true peace, but it unlocks the hidden potential within yourselves, as well as the creativity, that childlike creativity. And it's something that we all need as adults, because within the world that we live in, 18 to 18 and up, we go through a lot, realizing the aspects of life, realizing the political way of life, systematic oppression. We have to learn about all of these things. So it's imperative for us to be able to have some time to ourselves and actually relax and be childlike. You know what I mean? We have to be childlike. It's important for us to have that touch within ourselves to just have fun. I feel that speaking to family, speaking to therapy, I said therapy, speaking to therapy, speaking to therapist, or any form of just advice that you can get from a person, or just going to vent. You know what I mean? Even if you just want to vent to somebody, venting could be the best form of release. There are definitely many things that we go through as human beings, and sometimes we isolate ourselves so much, not realizing that advice would be the best thing that we can get, or just having an ear to listen to, having an ear listening to us. You know what I mean? That's one of the best things that we can do for ourselves, is just have somebody listen to us. Or just, it's like a weight being lifted off of your shoulders, if you guys get my drift. And envisioning the best, there was one thing that I've gotten from Brother DeMarcus. Shout out to Devotions with DeMarcus. He is a brother that has helped me out, and I've watched his videos a lot, and he taught me something about fear, which is false. He made the initials, basically putting it as false evidence appearing real. And that was so intriguing, but it was also so knowledgeable to me that it got me to a different aspect of fear. Especially, like, with everything that we hear with fear, we always hear that fear is a deception, or we have nothing to fear but fear itself. But sometimes we need a little bit of an analogy from another person to be basically kind of open that inscription for us. You know what I mean? Excuse me. But envisioning the best, always envisioning the best, it definitely helps in terms of the positivity. Because when you think about the best, all you do is have beautiful and creative manifestations. You know what I mean? When you start to think about the best, you start to think about what good could possibly happen out of this. And then the positive thoughts start expanding. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing when you can be able to envision the best. We have to try to definitely keep intrusive thoughts and just negative thoughts at a minimum. You know what I mean? It's imperative for us to do that, because of the fact that that's what creates the manifestations, is beautiful thoughts. You know what I mean? You think about something that you've wanted to do, whether it's playing a piano or doing a drawing, and you start to repetitively think about that good thing, and just developing your skills or your dexterity. You know what I mean? And you wind up creating a beautiful manifestation, or you wind up envisioning yourself doing that beautiful thing. You know what I mean? And that could be one thing that you could focus on, is focusing on the beautiful aspects of yourself, and focusing on the different types of skills that you have. Whether it's drawing, I want to draw, or I want to do this, I want to do that. You know what I mean? Just envisioning yourself doing better could definitely be beneficial towards your manifestation and towards the future that you hold for yourself. And I felt like I needed to touch up on not only how to achieve peace, but I felt like there are ways on how to achieve destruction for yourself, and nobody wants that. You know what I mean? Nobody wants that. But I feel that there are ways to do that, and those are more easy than the hard ways sometimes, especially when you have been used to people telling you certain things what were okay, or certain things were right, and certain things were this, and you've in your mind, and you in your heart and soul felt that it wasn't right, and I feel like that stems from influences. It could be, you know what I mean, family, friends, it could be colleagues, it could be anything. Just negative influences, period, can definitely lead you onto a track of destruction, self-destruction. And that is exactly why we as human beings know when something is not wrong, even if it's coming from a loved one. You know what I mean? We have to try to choose better. We have to try to choose better choices for ourselves, and not always depend on validation from others. And another thing I also wanted to touch up on when it comes to destruction is addictions or repetitive cycles. I feel that repetitive cycles, we tend to sometimes think that even the most good thing is it could be beneficial for us if we keep on doing it all the time, all the time, all the time. You know what I mean? And it's not always the case. There's definitely even good things that lead you into a repetitive cycle, but it doesn't lead you anywhere, but it just leads you stagnated. And as well as the bad things, is more so of the bad things, but I feel like I needed to point out the good things as well. But the bad things is that repetitive cycle. It keeps you feeling guilt tripped. It makes you feel shameful over and over and over again. And see, for certain people, even myself, when it comes to repetitive cycles, you know what I mean, because I still go through repetitive cycles myself, but I'm learning. And I feel like that's one of the best things. And I feel like to be able to get over this hump would be to cut off all resources, and that's where limits and boundaries come in. You know what I mean? We have to set boundaries for ourselves, and this is what I'm going to accept. This is going to be my limit, and this is what I'm going to cut off. This is going to be my boundary. And I feel that that is one way we can cut off repetitive cycles, but also addictions is what can lead us to destruction as well. You know what I mean? Whether it's drugs, whether it's sex, whether it's alcohol, everything as a whole, everything as a collective. If you constantly make that your daily thing, and you don't see what it could possibly do to affect you, then it could definitely lead you onto a road of thinking that it's okay to do those things, and it can lead you to thinking that it's not an addiction. And I've had so many people that I knew that dealt with stuff like that, whether it had been alcohol addiction, whether it had been drugs, you know what I mean? And it's something that needs to be touched up on regardless of the fact, you know what I mean? Because for me, as a 24-year-old, to experience while 18, seeing 20-something-year-olds doing drugs, and just overindulging, you know what I mean? I'll be honest with you. I smoke a little bit of weed myself. But at the same time, there's a time and a place for everything. And we have to be able to distinguish that. And we also have to be able to portion ourselves when it comes to our habits. Or not habits, but when it comes to our pleasures that we like to do when we come home. Relax, you know what I mean? There are certain things that we just have to limit ourselves with. That's where limitations come in. I feel like distractions are also a thing that leads you to destruction. So many distractions within the world, whether it be TV, whether it be social media, whether it be judgment, whether it be gossip, whether it be this, reality TV, that, you know what I mean? It's just a whole boggled up mess, and it's confusing for us to distinguish what could be a distraction or not, because sometimes we're used to those things. You know what I mean? We're used to Instagram, we're used to this, we're used to that, we're used to YouTube. So sometimes it's hard for us to distinguish that. But the best thing to do would be to figure out what is stopping you from doing that thing that you want to do. Ask yourself that. What is that thing that's stopping you from doing what you want to do? What is that thing that is hindering me from completing that specific task that I want to do? You know what I mean? And I have to ask myself that a lot. A lot. You know what I mean? I have many distractions, but am I going to let that stop me? No. Am I going to let that stop me from creating this video? No. I feel like it's imperative for me to tell you guys about these things, because not only do I love the people of the world, but I also want to see everybody grow as a whole. I want to see the strength of God's children increase to the point where there's nothing but light shining around the world. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt like that ever since I was a kid. And that's all I want. You know, I feel that another thing that can definitely and most indefinitely affect us is having envious, jealous, or hateful people around our circle. And that is where boundaries come in. You need to cut off all resources to anybody that is envious around you. And first off, look at the signs. Don't just assume, you know what I mean? Sometimes we make an assumption of thinking that a person is being competitive, or a person is jealous, or a person is this. But sometimes we just have to, you know what I mean? Just check and make sure that everything, use your discernment. Use your discernment in every situation to determine who's who. And when it comes to finding out who those people are, remove them, because they will only hinder your process. They will only hinder you from God's blessing. They will only hinder you from what the world has, what you have to display to the world, your light that you have to display to the world. You know what I mean? And everybody has a light. Everybody has a light. All of God's children, because we are a vessel. And and having people like that around is a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. You know what I mean? Nobody should have to deal with anybody who wants to be competitive, hateful, or just jealous. You know what I mean? There should be nothing but complete love, especially for people that have already surpassed you. You know what I mean? In certain areas. But enough about that. I wanted to mainly speak about the reason I wanted to touch up on this topic. It's mostly because of the fact that I felt that peace is something that we all want. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. And sometimes we don't understand why we don't have it at that specific time. But it could also mean that we're being tested. It could also mean that we're in a storm right now, and God expects us to endure that storm until everything is cleared out. And once everything is cleared out, that is exactly when you start to see that breakthrough. You start to see that flourish. You start to see all of the blessings coming through. And that is something that we need to touch up on. I felt like it's something that we all want, but we don't understand that some of our ways can be destructive to a godly and holy life, or just our temple period. You know what I mean? The habits that we intake, the things that we do can definitely affect our lives, our holy lives, our spiritual lives. You know what I mean? There are things that can definitely deplete you as a spiritual being, because we are not only beings on the physical, but we are beings on the spiritual as well. And it is imperative for us to embody the godliness or the holiness within us, instead of embodying the things that can potentially harm us. And many of the things that we view in the world as normal, um it's not. Most of the things that we view as normal is not normal. But we feel as human beings when something isn't right. And it is imperative for us as God's children to not justify ourselves, especially when we feel conflicted about it, especially when we feel that I don't think I should do it, or you feel that anxious feeling within you. If you know that is something that you feel that could potentially harm you, that could potentially make you not feel good, then the best thing to do would be to remove yourself from that situation, remove yourself from that person, remove yourself from that thing. You know what I mean? And those are one of the many things that can lead you to a holy life. Um, and it leads to destruction, thinking that the repetitive patterns are okay. And I've found that out because of the fact that when we make those repetitive patterns okay, we tend to justify ourselves without even knowing that we're justifying ourselves. Excuse me. We tend to, it's like drinking a soda, or drinking more than one soda in one day, and saying, "Oh, it's okay. It's just a soda," or "No, it's okay. I'm not, you know what I mean. I haven't really had much," or just that's kind of the justification that is given when you're just repeating that cycle. You know what I mean, and you're making yourself feel like as if it's okay without even knowing, without unconsciously knowing. And sometimes, as human beings, we don't realize how much of a repetitive cycle, whether it be relationship wise, whether it be approaching situations yourself, or situations approaching you, people approaching you, or you approaching people. Sometimes we don't know that repetitive cycle can definitely lead us to destruction. I hope that this video was a blessing to you guys. I'll leave all of my previous videos down in the description below. If this helped you guys, please give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my video. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a blessed one, and enjoy the rest of your day.